There's a reason why 99% of men never make it. It's not because they're born unlucky or because the system is rigged against them. It's because they don't have what it takes. And I'm not talking about money, connections, or good looks. I'm talking about something deeper. Internal traits, a certain wiring in the brain, a hunger to build when everyone else is partying, a level of control, both mental and emotional, that most guys will never understand because they're too busy chasing quick highs and external validation. See, the top 1% man doesn't move like the rest. He doesn't care about trends. He doesn't ask for permission. He's not the loudest in the room, but he's the one everyone notices when he walks in. He doesn't need attention because he has power. Real power, built in silence, earned through pain, forged through solitude. That's what makes a Sigma man different. While the masses chase comfort and approval, the 1% man builds in the shadows. His strength doesn't come from followers or applause. It comes from knowing he can walk away from anything and anyone. This video isn't for the average guy. If you're the type who needs a daily quote on Instagram just to get out of bed, click away. But if you're someone who's tired of mediocrity, someone who's been operating on a different frequency since day one, keep watching. Because these 5 traits, they aren't optional. They're non-negotiables. Master them, and you'll stop competing with other men. You'll be in a league of your own. 1. Ruthless self-discipline. Most people misunderstand what discipline really is. They think it's about grinding 24/7, never having fun, or punishing yourself for slipping up. But real discipline, the kind that builds empires, isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, it's boring. It's showing up every single day, especially when no one's watching, and doing what needs to be done. It's not driven by hype or motivation, because both of those are temporary. Real discipline is rooted in identity. You don't go to the gym because you're motivated that day. You go because you're the kind of man who trains no matter what. Top 1% men don't negotiate with themselves. They don't waste time debating whether they feel like doing something. They've already made the decision, it's done. Wake up early, done. Train hard, done. Work after everyone else clocks out, done. There's no room for emotion in that decision-making process. It's war. And when you're at war, you don't stop because you're tired. You stop when the mission is complete. Discipline also means cutting off anything that weakens you. That could be junk food, cheap entertainment, porn, social media dopamine loops, anything that dulls your edge. Most guys live on autopilot. They say they want to win, but they keep feeding their minds garbage, numbing themselves with distractions. And then they wonder why their lives don't change. The disciplined man does the opposite. He's intentional with everything. What he eats, what he reads, who he surrounds himself with. He doesn't just grind randomly, he builds systems, habits, routines that eliminate friction and increase focus. It's also important to understand that discipline isn't something you're born with. It's trained, like a muscle. And just like in the gym, if you want to grow it, you've got to push through resistance. The voice that tells you to skip a task, take the easy route, or delay the hard thing, that voice never really goes away. But disciplined men don't listen to it. They act anyway. That's what separates winners from watchers. So if you can't control yourself, start there. Until you can look at your day every hour and say, I chose this, you're not in control. You're reacting. And that's not how the 1% operate. 2. Emotional control. Most men are slaves to their emotions, whether they admit it or not. They're constantly reacting, getting pissed off at traffic, spiraling over a text that didn't get a reply, feeling crushed by rejection or inflated by a compliment. That's weakness. That's volatility. And volatile men are dangerous, not to others, but to themselves. They're easy to manipulate, easy to throw off course. All it takes is one emotional trigger and they self-destruct. The top 1% man is the opposite. He's unshakable. It doesn't mean he's a robot. He still feels, but he never lets emotions dictate his actions. When something goes wrong, he doesn't panic. He analyzes. When someone tries to insult him, he doesn't get defensive. He smiles because he knows who he is. And when you truly know yourself, other people's opinions carry zero weight. You don't react because there's nothing inside you that needs approval. You're whole on your own. This kind of emotional control takes time to build. It starts with awareness. Most guys don't even realize when they're being triggered. Their girl says something and suddenly they're arguing like teenagers. A deal falls through and they start questioning their entire path. The Sigma male understands that emotions are like weather. They come and go. You don't try to fight the storm. You observe it, you wait it out, you let it pass, and when it does, you act from clarity, not chaos. And here's the truth. In today's world, emotional control is a superpower. Social media is designed to keep you emotionally reactive. News cycles feed you fear. Advertisements prey on your insecurities. If you don't develop the ability to step back, breathe, and observe, you'll be a puppet. But once you master this trait, you become untouchable. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop chasing. And the irony is, when you stop reacting, people start respecting you more. They can feel the calm, the control, the quiet power. Real men don't explode. They don't beg. They don't lash out. They move with precision. And that only happens when your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Third, strategic solitude. In a world that worships constant connection, solitude has become the rarest asset a man can possess. Most people are terrified of being alone. The moment they're by themselves, they run to fill the silence. Scrolling, texting, gaming, binge-watching, anything just to escape their own mind. That's exactly why most men never evolve. They've never spent enough time in silence to hear what their mind is actually saying. The top 1% man doesn't just tolerate solitude, he seeks it. It's where he thinks, plans, reflects, and recalibrates. Every empire starts with a blueprint, and blueprints aren't drawn in chaos. They're drawn in silence. Solitude is where strategy is born. It's where a man steps back from the noise and starts seeing patterns. What's working? What's not? Who's draining him? What needs to be cut and where he should go next? It's not loneliness, it's self-respect. You're choosing your energy over shallow connection. You're choosing clarity over distraction. When you spend time alone with purpose, you sharpen your instincts. You develop your own opinions instead of parroting whatever the internet tells you. And more importantly, you learn how to enjoy your own company, which is powerful. Because the moment you no longer need anyone, you stop being controlled by anyone. Men who can't be alone are dangerous to themselves and others. They cling, they settle, they get into relationships out of fear, not alignment. They chase attention because they've never built internal peace. But the Sigma male, he's different. He retreats to solitude not as an escape, but as a weapon. It's in that stillness he becomes lethal. While others waste time shouting over each other, he's thinking 10 moves ahead in complete silence. So learn to sit with yourself. No music, no phone. Just you, your thoughts, and the truth. The more you do that, the more dangerous you become. Fourth, laser-like focus. Let's get one thing straight. Focus is the new flex. Not cars, not followers, not money. Focus. Because in a world designed to distract you, a man who can lock in on one goal for months or years without flinching is unstoppable. And yet, most guys can't go 5 minutes without checking their phones. They try to multitask their way to success, bouncing between apps, podcasts, and half-read books, wondering why nothing sticks. The truth? They're not focused. They're addicted. The top 1% man eliminates everything that doesn't serve his mission. He doesn't try to do 10 things at once. He picks one high-leverage target and goes all in. Whether it's building a business, sculpting his body, or mastering a craft, he goes deep, not wide. Because depth creates mastery, and mastery creates power. Focus also means cutting out people who constantly interrupt your flow. You can't expect to stay dialed in if you're constantly surrounded by energy-draining conversations and low-level thinking. Protect your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. Your environment is either sharpening you or softening you. Choose wisely. There's also a deeper layer to this. True focus requires purpose. If your goals don't mean anything to you, you'll keep getting distracted. That's why you need a mission. Something so meaningful that it makes scrolling feel like poison. Once you lock onto that, discipline becomes natural. You're not forcing it anymore. You want it. You crave progress like oxygen. Train your focus like a muscle. Start small, 30 minutes of deep work, no distractions. Then scale. You'll be shocked how much more you get done in a day when you're not operating like a squirrel on caffeine. Focus isn't just about productivity, it's about power. The more you can concentrate your energy, the more force you apply to your goals. And when that happens, you start bending reality. 5. Relentless accountability. This one separates boys from men. Most guys are professional excuse makers. They blame their parents, their ex, the government, the algorithm, anything but themselves. But the moment you start pointing fingers, you give away your power. Because if it's always someone else's fault, that means someone else is in control of your life. And that's not the mindset of a top 1% man. High-level men take ownership of everything. Even when it's not their fault, they ask, what could I have done better? That mindset creates growth. It puts you in control. It tells your brain, we're not victims, we're builders. And that shift alone can change your entire trajectory. Accountability also kills entitlement. A lot of guys think they deserve results just because they worked hard. But life doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for outcomes. And if you're not getting the results you want, it's not the world that needs to change. It's you, your strategy, your mindset, your execution. And only men who are brutally honest with themselves ever figure that out. It also means holding others accountable, not in a toxic, confrontational way, but with standards. If someone in your circle is slipping, call it out. And if they don't level up, cut them off, because your standards are either contagious or corrupted. And if you surround yourself with excuse makers, you'll start making excuses too. But if you surround yourself with men who own their results, you'll rise faster than you ever imagined. Radical accountability isn't about guilt or shame, it's about freedom. The more responsibility you take, the more control you gain. And that control gives you leverage over your life, your business, and your future. 6. Financial mastery. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys freedom. And freedom is non-negotiable for a Sigma male. If you're relying on a boss, a government, or a girlfriend to fund your lifestyle, you're not free, you're dependent. And dependency is weakness, plain and simple. The top 1% man treats money like a weapon. He doesn't just work for it, he makes it work for him. He learns how to earn, save, invest, and multiply. And more importantly, he understands that money is energy. The more value you create, the more energy flows back to you in the form of cash. Most guys blow their money the second it hits their account. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, useless gadgets to impress people who don't matter. But real men stack. They invest. They build war chests so they never have to say yes to things they hate. They build income streams that run while they sleep. Because when your money works harder than you do, you win. This doesn't mean becoming obsessed with money. It means becoming strategic with it. Every dollar should have a job. Whether it's growing, protecting, or buying back your time, money is a tool. Use it right, and it builds your empire. Use it wrong, and it becomes a leash. And let's be real, financial mastery is rare because it requires patience, delayed gratification, and actual thinking. But the Sigma male isn't chasing clout. He's building a future. A man who knows how to earn in silence and spend with purpose is already in the top 1%. 7. Unbreakable identity. Everything begins and ends with identity. Most guys are trying to become something instead of realizing they already are it. They just haven't aligned their actions with who they say they are. The top 1% man doesn't wonder if he's worthy or if he has imposter syndrome. He decides who he is and then acts like it. Every single day. Your identity is built through small decisions repeated over time. When you say you'll wake up early and you actually do, that's identity. When you hit the gym instead of skipping it, that's identity. When you choose the hard path over the easy one, that's identity. Over time, your brain starts to trust you. And that trust is powerful because it eliminates doubt. You stop questioning whether you're capable. You just do. Weak men build identities based on feelings. Strong men build identities based on principles. A Sigma male doesn't care how he feels. He cares what needs to be done. And because he honors his word to himself, he becomes unbreakable. People sense that. They can feel it in the way he speaks, walks, and operates. That's why people follow him, not because he's flashy, but because he's solid. Your identity is your foundation. Everything else, money, status, power, is just decoration. Without a strong identity, you'll crumble the moment life punches you in the mouth. But when you've built yourself from the ground up, when you've suffered and rebuilt and refused to quit, there's nothing anyone can take from you. Because the value isn't in the results, it's in who you had to become to get them. If you made it this far, you're not like most men, and that's exactly the point. These traits aren't just ideas, they're a standard, a way of life. So if you're serious about becoming part of the top 1%, hit that subscribe button, join the movement, like the video to support the grind, and drop a comment with which trait hit you the hardest. This is just the beginning. Stay sharp, stay focused, stay dangerous.